Hey guys, how
What's
you
up?
doing?
Hey everyone, how's everything going?
Another beautiful day to be joining us today.
Yes, it's actually really sunny outside. If you can see behind us. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah,
Yes, we got new scenery for you guys today.
I know. Yeah, we do. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful day out. We're at the salt plains of Madagascar, whatever this is. Anyway, yeah, we have like a very special episode today. We actually are talking about something you wanted to bring up.
Yeah. So it's Can I Be a Physicist, basically. And we do this for you guys who are kind of doubting whether you can do it. You know, people had questions for, who can be a physicist,
Yeah.
and I see this a lot of times. I think like 90% of students in physics have imposter syndrome.
Right. Yeah.
So we kind of do this to show you guys some tips, give you advice, and just tell you some things about what we think we think it means to be a physicist.
Yeah. And the resounding answer is no. No, you can't.
So you can shut the video off now.
No, I'm just kidding. No. Obviously, you have to listen to see what our answer is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good discussion. We give a lot of tips about if you do decide to do physics, either at the undergraduate level or graduate level. We have some tips for you. What else? What else would you say?
We just did some general advice and some
Yeah.
things. We even tied in a little bit NBTI at the end.
Oh yeah. Well, there was a listener question,
Yeah.
and we, hopefully answered it pretty well. And then we also have a question for yous all.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, guys, once again, just make sure to subscribe to our channel. Leave a like, leave a comment. Share it with your friends.
Yes.
And also, you can check us out on Twitter, guys. And we also have Instagram, too. It's a little bit barren right now, but you can go to our website, Eigenbros.com, join our mailing list to get updates. And, yeah, I think that's it. We'll see you in a bit, guys.
All right. Peace. 3, 2, 1, and we're live.
Welcome to the Eigenbros, the best podcast indeed.
Yes, welcome. We're in a new room in our house.
Yes.
In the Eigenbros house.
Yes, sir.
So, how was Labor Day?
Good, man.
Yeah.
Chill. How about you?
Chill. Yeah, it was chill. It was pretty cool. I know you texted me randomly something about how you're like, I want to talk about how people can be a physicist, how you can be a physicist or something like that.
Yeah. So, of course, I don't know if you've been through this one, but I definitely went through it where I was like, I had a period of time where I was questioning whether I could even be a physicist. Because, you were like, you see all these guys like Einstein and Newton and, any of these guys, really, Feynman, and you're just like, I don't know if I could be cut out to be a physicist because it seems like you have to be a genius.
Yeah, only for genius.
Yeah.
You seen those memes? only for genius. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. So it's kind of one of those things where you kind of don't know, and then you don't want to be stuck in there. Especially when you're young, you feel like things are set in stone, and you feel like, oh, I'm stuck in here now, and I'm just not even close to any of these people,
Right.
in terms of intelligence.
Yeah.
And I figured, we should do a podcast on this subject. Maybe talk about that. Now, do you have the notes pulled up on your phone?
Yeah,
Juan?
yeah. I just got
okay,
them up
cool.
right
Because
now.
I sent you them too. So basically, I just wanted to kind of go through it. So I guess I wanted to start out with maybe some undergraduate tips.
Okay.
So of course we can divide this up into, what are some good tips for undergraduates, and then what are some good tips for graduates. And I kind of wanted to just make it in a way where we try to give people a bunch of advice or tips that we would have liked, when we were first starting out.
Yeah.
Cool. So, did you have anything to add before we go into it?
Yeah. So I think it's like an important conversation because I'm actually teaching, when you're in graduate school, you teach classes, right? You teach to undergraduates and you teach just random people. And a lot of people say, oh, physics is hard.
Right.
Oh, physics was my worst class. And that's something that's a little bit, if you like physics, right, you're a little bit freaked out because you're like, wow, I really like this subject, and I don't think it's as difficult. It can get difficult. Not to say that I think any subject can get difficult.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, I think physics has a bad reputation because there are certain people or certain types of people that teach it, I think, that make it inaccessible.
Yeah.
Or there's a low tolerance for, I guess there's very little patience for people that don't.
Yeah, yeah. So I get what you're saying. You're saying like maybe there's an elitism tied to it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's definitely a significant factor. But I also think naturally physics is a deterrent initially because, you know, there's certain things that you do. I can almost. So I've thought about this a little bit where, you know, certain fields have a low pain tolerance in the beginning, but then as you progress, they get harder.
Yeah.
And then there's other things that have a high learning curve, but then they get easier as you go on.
Yeah.
So physics is one of these things where there's a very high or steep learning curve.
Okay.
So it's hard initially because it's so different from the way that you normally think. Even if you're like a logician, you know, which I mean, I am, and I know you are too as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's still a framework that very much removes bias and relying on intuition. And it's very it's hard initially. So there's going to be usually something that catches you in the beginning, and it catches a lot of people. And I know it's harder, especially if you're not a person who is used to thinking logically. So that's a whole new framework that you have to get used to.
Yeah. So just for the record, a logician is somebody who is like a UPS driver, right? Logistics.
But the dad jokes on point one.
You have to throw it in there a little bit. Keep going.
Yeah. So I just think it's a spectrum. There's a spectrum of difficulty with certain things that you start off. So let's say like cooking might have a very low threshold to start off with because, you know, everybody feels comfortable cooking because you're like, oh, and you know, I can turn on the heat and try this. But, you know, if you're fucking Gordon Ramsay, that shit ain't easy.
Yeah.
So you have a level that you can get to that's hard. Everything can be hard at a certain level.
Yeah.
But I think anything hard is the accumulation of a lot of easy minor steps.
Yeah.
Some of those easy minor steps. Yeah. Some of those easy minor steps, though, might be harder than others, but everything is hard at the end of the day.
It can be. I think there was a quote by Richard Feynman, for those of you that aren't aware. He was a famous American physicist really active, I think, he was born 1920s through the 1970s, I think. And he said, anything is difficult if you're interested enough in it, you'll reach a level of complexity that's not trivial. So, you know, study the things that you like. And yeah, I mean, that's what you're saying. You're like, everything at some point.
So true.
Can get complex. So.
And that actually is kind of a perfect thing for the first thing I had. So the first point I made was just, if you're interested, just try it.
Yeah.
So as an undergraduate, I mean, when I was 18 or 19, really young, you know, I always thought when you were going to college, this is it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you think this is my time to choose my career. I'm going to have to figure out what I want to do.
Yeah.
And actually that kind of messed me up too, because I think I was kind of a late bloomer in a sense that I didn't take school seriously at all for the first several years of my life. And I think that might have been a big reason for it, because I always thought, you know, I don't know what I want to do. I'm not ready to choose yet.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to get locked into something. And I changed my majors several times, you know, so I bounced around quite a lot. And I think a lot of kids feel that way. You know, when you're 18, you're like, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah. I mean,
you know?
The majority of people don't know what they want to do. I think.
Some people do, but
yeah, there's people that have been primed for it, and you'll run into those people if you're already in college. You know, some people have been almost raised up to be their parents are in the profession or something, or they've been raised already to already think like this, and so this is kind of a life path carved out for them, as opposed to, you know, people that are just like have parents they're just like, yeah, do whatever you want, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So I would just say try it. You know, the thing is, when you're that young, your destiny is not set in stone. As much as you may think, you're not locked in.
What do you think the cutoff is? I'm just kidding. Well, because I knew a guy. He was like in his 40s, and he was like, "Yeah, I think I came back to school to do physics," and I was like, "Wow, that's tough."
We had a guy in my class who was 40 who was doing physics.
Yeah.
He was doing not only physics, he was doing physics, math, and computer science, a triple major.
Wow. What an overachiever, man.
But that's what I'm saying is there really is no cutoff.
But yeah. It's how much money you're willing to spend.
Well, let's not discourage.
Okay, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's a joke. Follow your dreams, kids.
Yeah. So the thing is, you can just try it. If you try it even for a month or a week, that's not the end of everything. You can then switch.
Yeah.
You'll probably get a better sense of what you want to do if you just try many things rather than just locking yourself down into something.
Right.
So if you're interested in physics and you always see yourself, like, let's say, looking up Discovery Channel videos or like Nova Science or PBS Space Time,
right.
Then odds are you probably have some interest in that subject.
Yeah.
So fuck it. Try it. There's nothing wrong with that. And you're not locked in.
No, because you certainly can. Like, for instance, for me, I was I actually didn't know what I wanted. Like you were saying, I came out of high school, didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought it would be cool if I could be an engineer, but my maths were terrible. Like I had no real rigorous training in mathematics from my high school. It was like we had coaches that taught math, and it wasn't really that great.
Right.
So it was kind of like I can't do this because I'm not really at that level. But I said, well, especially if you're paying for school, my philosophy was you may as well have them teach you something that you've always wanted to do, but you're not necessarily good at.
Right.
Because the idea is that you'll build up to that expertise level, right?
100%. I think I had the same kind of outlook.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'm the same boat as you, Juan. I particularly didn't excel at math. I always did well in math. I think conceptually.
Right.
I just never put the time in doing the work, so my grades would not reflect that.
Yeah. Because it's one of these subjects that you can't really pass by on, like, sort of just raw wit.
Yeah, and if you stop, then you're already behind.
Yeah,
completely. So math was one of those things I always had kind of like an eye on. Like I was like, there's something to this, but I don't really quite know.
Yeah.
But I only really learned to truly respect math when I started doing physics.
Yeah. No, I agree wholeheartedly. I didn't. Same thing. I didn't appreciate it. And physics is a large component of it. People say is math, and it is. If you're naturally gifted at math, I think what I mean by that is, well, you probably had an inclination when you were younger to actually be interested in math, as opposed to, like, I think myself and I think most Americans are just kind of like, math is like something that's just something
really taught for some reason.
Right. Yeah. But I feel like this is an American sentiment. We might be on the majority. There's some in the minority that, actually see the usefulness in it. But yeah, those kind of people, I think, might be better suited for a subject like physics, but that doesn't mean that you can't be a good physicist if you weren't, primed or naturally gifted to just do math and do physics.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah. Cool, man. And I guess, yeah. So the summation of that one is just try it.
Just try it.
Try it. So then I guess to the next point was, if you try it, I wanted to give people like how they can try it. What can you actually do? So a lot of times in physics, at school, when you have physics programs, they have clubs and organizations. So one of our organizations that's big, I think nationally, I don't know if it's international.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
No, well, I'm saying it's big. It's national.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So SPS is the Society of Physics Students. Sigma Pi Sigma also is what they're known as, and I guess as Juan has said, it's an international organization. So odds are your school has probably an SPS society. Not all of them do. It depends on how well the students keep up with it.
Yeah.
But if you guys have some kind of Society of Physics Students, you should join it. If
Or
you
you
have interest,
start a chapter even.
right, start a chapter. If you're interested, join it. Start a chapter. Find some like-minded people.
Yeah.
You can do it. If not, if there's another organization in my school, we also had an astronomy club. So any kind of physics-related organization or club, just join that or start it. If you're kind of weary of starting it, you actually have a lot of help because I'm sure you could contact the Sigma Pi Sigma chapter, and they probably have some kind of template or some kind of guide on how to actually start these programs. And they could even help you to get funding by just shortening the process for you by contacting your the representatives that you would need to start that chapter.
Correct.
So yeah, there's plenty of help out there.
I actually had how do I say this? A fellow colleague of mine or peer, one of my peers, started the local chapter of my undergraduate university, and it was a learning experience, I think, for everybody, and it was worthwhile because she went to a great school. So,
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, surround yourself with like-minded people. That's another thing that are interested and passionate about it as much as you can.
Yes.
There are other obligations and stuff, but
100%. So college is definitely, I think, one of the main useful aspects of college that keeps it relevant to this day. Because despite having jacked up tuition bills and all this debt, at least you need to get something out of it. The one of the truest things in life is it's about who you know, not what you know. So make friends. You got to make friends.
Yeah.
I always get saddened to see all these lone warrior physicists that are trying to be the next Dirac or the next Einstein, because it's like you don't need to operate like that these days. A lot of physics today is collaborative. You have large-scale projects like the LHC or ITER, which is the fusion reactor. All of these facilities are collaborative efforts. So if you have a collaborative mindset, I think you are already at a massive advantage compared to others. It's very hard to be the lone warrior physicist, and actually, I think it's not very smart to do that.
No,
it's gonna work. It works against you in a way that you don't need to be. It's adding an element to your life that just makes your life harder,
especially if you want to be prolific.
Yeah,
you can spend. Mathematicians kind of are a prime example of this, but they spend years in isolation trying to prove a theorem or something. We're talking about 10 years, like the guy who proved Fermat's theorem or last theorem, and yeah, it makes a lot more sense if you sort of start networking and surrounding yourself with like you were saying, like-minded people.
I think it's smarter.
It is.
Two brains are better than one.
Definitely is, and it makes your life easier because then you guys can get feedback from each other. If you decide to do physics, you can then, if you find a friend, you can then bounce off of each other, asking each other questions, and it's the Socratic method.
Right. And Juan, when we used to do homework, man, when also our buddy Javon, we have a friend of our named Javon. Javon, shout out to you, man, if you're watching. All three of us, we used to work in early graduate school all the time on problems, and to me, that wasn't even like working. It was so fun.
Yeah.
because we were all just bouncing off ideas, and you see things from a way that is not going to be the same way that you see it. So it's just more fun, and it's better. It's just better.
It is. I think it gives you. I'm a proponent of this, but team problem solving. Obviously, you want to go in already with your own ideas. Otherwise, you won't really be getting a lot out of it if you're just taking in other people's ideas. So be cautious about that. Be aware. Because I think some people might fall into the trap of just going in there for answers or whatever. Don't try not to do that. If just, go in there with the mindset of wanting to contribute and see what the other guys or gals like have to say about the problem that you guys are trying to solve, and do that.
Yeah. We're a little bit off stray, but I want to just bring it back to SPS. So just basically, join clubs, guys.
Yeah.
This kind of fun in life, like in undergraduate college, does not come often. You're not going to be able to do as many fun things in graduate school.
No.
So you guys need to seize the opportunity. I mean, graduate's fun in its own way, but you are not going to have that level of freedom like you did in undergraduate. So join clubs, guys. You got to do it.
Yeah, you don't really realize it until it's too late.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean it 100%. You don't realize how much time you actually had in your undergraduate until your full-time job is graduate school. So
so I say another thing I say is, sacrifice A's. Sacrifice A's to get B's if you can have more time to have fun and enjoy your time in undergraduate.
Yeah, and some of that has to do with getting your experience up too. Like if you have, for instance, if you do plan to go to graduate school, or just say you really like physics and you want to learn it at the sort of undergraduate level, and some people feel like that's sufficient, and that's fine. You should, you can do that. You can say, I can forfeit a couple A's just to enjoy my undergraduate experience. But say if you want to go to graduate school, well, in my personal advice would be to sacrifice some of those A's to get research experience.
Right.
So
yeah, exactly. That's another part of it. Do research early if you can. That's going to be the real way to see if you really want to do this, because at the end of the day, real physicists are researchers. They're actually doing experiments, or if you're a theoretical physicist, you're actually formulating theorems. It's a little harder to do theoretical physics if you're an undergraduate, but you go to experimentalist labs maybe. I don't know if they would allow undergraduates to do theoretical physics. Do you know?
No, but I know that some people work with a theorist in their undergrad doing directed research. So you can maybe work that out. Just like I had a friend. Oh yeah, Jesse. He we had him on the show a couple of weeks ago.
He was on the spirituality physics podcast.
Yeah. So check that one out. But he did directed individual research with a professor that kind of worked in theory. And yeah, he was just building his foundation to work in theory in graduate school. So you can try that avenue if you're interested in theory.
Right.
So yeah.
And I can imagine if you did some coding too might help.
Right.
So if you can find out how to code in a scientific way, because it's coding in science is different than coding in computer science. You focus on different things.
Yeah.
I
mean, you work on modeling and solving differential equations and stuff, calculus problems.
So you got avenues you can go down. You can do that. And let's see, on to the next. So what's my next point?
I mean, excuse me, I had some pizza for breakfast.
So such a healthy breakfast there.
And then I wonder why I have health problems. Also, take care of yourself. That's another one. Let's be real about that.
Okay.
Because there will come times in your undergraduate, right, where you're just like slogging through it, and you're just like, man, I really need to slow down and take care of myself.
That actually is one of my points in here.
Yeah.
I guess we can talk about it. And one of the tips I have is it's more for the graduate one.
Oh, okay.
Let's save it a little
bit.
But
even when you're an undergraduate, you should
take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself.
But so the next point was get to know people. So we kind of covered that with the SPS, but also network with people outside of science. Talk to everybody. Go to events, and especially just directed for science. Get yourself out there into there's so one we used to love to do when I was in undergraduate was the Maker Faire. So Maker Faire is like an engineering one kind of.
Yeah.
But it was so cool because if you're a physicist, let's face it, especially an experimental physicist, gadgets and tech are cool shit. I've never met an experimentalist who didn't think that was the case.
Right. Yeah.
So, get out there and Maker Faire if your city has it. We had some science festivals also that we would do with SPS.
Yeah.
And yeah, just actually do some research and find out what's going on in your community. I think there's meetup.com is the one I used to check a lot of times to see what was happening.
Right.
If you just type in science events in Google and then type in your city, I'm sure things will come up then too. Just stay in tune. Check Twitter. There's a lot of ways to do this.
Did you say go to conferences?
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, go to conferences. That's always a great idea if you want to network and have some fun, especially if you did research. You have more bargaining chips to get funding to go take these trips. So do that. Do that whenever you get the chance, because some schools will just pay for you to go.
Right.
If that's the case. So, do that. Do that as much as you can. Milk the crap out of that.
So some conferences, the big ones would be like APS conference.
Right.
There's other ones like I used to attend the MMM. What's that one stand for again?
No clue.
It's like micromagnetics something conference. It's for people who are condensed matter physicists who like magnetism. It was a really cool one. I liked it. We actually got some really good beer in Colorado.
Oh, nice.
That shit was fire. I was like, damn, now I really want to be a physicist.
Yeah. I'd want to go to, I still haven't gone to an international meeting.
Me either.
Conference, but it would be amazing.
Yeah.
Because if you get into particle physics, I envy those guys.
Yeah.
Because they get to go to like Switzerland and spend a summer there. And
yeah.
I'm so jealous,
Yeah, so there's a little perk for you guys if you stick around and hang in there, You get to go to cool places and shit like France and Germany.
Right.
And,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know dudes who like take photos of the, Swiss Alps and they're just like chilling, summer 2019. And I'm like, dang, I want to go there. But
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you pick the right field, astrophysicists, I think, have a reputation for doing a lot of computational work. So in theory, you could travel anywhere you want and just work from home.
Right.
From home, wherever that is, right? Honestly, the field that I think you can least travel in is probably experimental work. Like meaning because you have to be in the lab doing work.
Yeah. But sometimes we get outsourced. So like in my group, we would get sent to China sometimes every summer.
Uh-oh.
I didn't, but yeah, don't fuck up. Not any hate on anyone who's Chinese in our audience, but
no. I'm saying because they'll probably still pay you the minimum. You don't know anybody.
Yeah. It's more a knock on the Chinese government.
I'm just saying that I wouldn't do it only because it would be like really difficult to do.
What?
To get sent to like a whole different country with just
so many different rules of living.
Yeah. It's so different.
I think it'd be amazing though. I wish I would have had the opportunity.
I think it's a cool experience. I'm not going to doubt it, but personally, I would definitely do like a T-chart of pros and cons and be like, how much are they going to pay me? How much, because you have to, at the end of the day, you have to be at that job, whatever their expectations of your work hours are. Because the culture you have to examine all of it. But yeah.
It's going to be a very big cultural shift if you're someone who's from Western countries.
Exactly. Yeah. So be aware if you do decide to go to any Europe. I mean, I think Europeans are a little bit more lax.
Yeah.
They're a lot less.
But we're talking about like China.
Well, a lot less. What do they call it? The workhorse. Like cultures that are just.
Yeah, it depends though, because you can also get some craziness in like Germany and whatnot.
Yeah, maybe so.
Just depends.
Just weigh your options out. It's because it's on paper. It sounds cool. Like, oh, I can go to another country and do research. Yeah, it sounds good, but you have to be careful about, probably being exploited for your
your labor,
because you're cheap and you're technical.
But this is also getting more to graduate school, so you're probably not going to do this in undergraduate.
You might not, but if you study abroad.
Yeah.
You can run into that situation.
And if you're really diligent, let's say if you're an undergraduate who has been doing research for like 3 years in a lab because you immediately start, Guys, I mean, when I joined physics, I started doing research in an undergraduate lab my first year.
Same.
So it's possible to start doing research immediately.
Same.
They're not going to trust you, of course, because you don't know shit. But like for me, for instance, I would just mill parts. So basically mills, I don't know if you don't know what a mill is. A milling machine is
like
basically
General Mills.
What's that company? What do they do? Cereal. Okay. I wish that'd be great. Just eat cereal in the lab. I like that.
Yeah. Anyway,
but a mill is basically just a machine that cuts parts. Mm-hmm. So we would cut waveguide. So waveguide is like basically kind of what it sounds like. It guides waves. So you would guide light waves or radio waves. Mm-hmm. I think it's mostly like sound waves or radio waves or something. Right. Maybe light. I can't remember. You would guide them in a certain path. So it's like a way to direct light or something down a particular pathway. Uh-huh. And I would mill those little pieces for that.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, it's a good experience. It was a little scary because I would use lathes and mills with no training. And these are machines that could literally kill you if you mess them up.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you mess up.
Yeah.
But I was 100%. Just like, if I die, fuck it.
I died doing what I love. No,
yeah, exactly.
If it's, here's my framing of it. Would you rather be a freshman and not know how to do anything, or would you rather be a senior and not know how to do anything?
Right.
So, I mean, everybody starts at the ground level.
That's kind of one of my adages I had included on there, actually, which is be dumb now to be smart later. You don't have to be Einstein. Don't try to be Einstein, because the thing is, smart people can easily see through it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so be dumb now to be smart later.
Yeah.
That's why you're in school. You're here to be dumb.
Yeah, you're here to learn. So,
like, professors are never going to think you're smart. I promise you.
They
all think you're stupid.
So
just accept
100%.
it and just go with it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Because honestly, what differentiates between you, a student, and them is experience.
Right.
They've seen countless problems. They probably know all the problems in the textbook only because they've had to teach it and everything. And so
they've experienced it.
The experience they have is 20 plus years versus your measly 3-4 years that you'll get. So
and
not even.
If you imagine just being in one physics class and just seeing how hard it is, just imagine someone doing 20 years of that. Like, you are not anywhere close to their level. No. So don't try to be. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, you'll make mistakes. You'll say stupid things. You'll be embarrassing, but
you're not going to own them in class with some brilliant answer. You might have some cool questions, but because you can always be learning. Even professors can.
Yeah. You'll probably own yourself.
Yeah,
and I've seen that happen to a good friend of mine who was on the podcast. I won't say who it was. He owned himself in Calculus 3. I won't say.
Oof.
But no, it'll happen. Like, you'll come in bright-eyed and be like, yeah, so, like, some people, and you've seen this in, like, say, because, like, certain topics in physics are heavily popularized, and the amount of, how do you say, the narrative for, like, lowest common denominator kind of science that you have to sort of condense it down to, like something like quantum mechanics, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to, like, make something that can be sort of abstract and complicated.
Yeah. You're saying, like, if a journalist is reporting a quantum article, let's say.
Sure, yeah. And then some student, say you read this and you're like, oh, I love quantum mechanics. It's so cool. What's going on? Like, I've seen students, like, come into class and say, so particle or Schrodinger's cat thing, they'll just say something like that, and then you're kind of just like, yeah, I mean, in certain situations, like, it's more complicated than just your own pop sci kind of reading into anything. So
if you're reading Phys.org articles and watching Rick and Morty, you don't know quantum mechanics.
Yeah. Humble yourself.
Yeah.
Humble yourself at all instances, or you will be humbled. Like, physics is one of those subjects that you can't really bring an ego in, because you'll have to check yourself in a lot of ways. So,
it will check you, though, for you. If you go deep enough, you will see how often your intuition lies to you and how wrong you are all the time.
Yeah. Unless you're a genius.
No. Even then, that's not
No,
true.
I know, because Einstein is famous for this.
I've got some Einstein quotes on here.
He's famous. So. But he's famous. I'll keep talking about this. But Einstein is famous for basically calling himself a rube. Like, he wasn't really great at maths. I think his professors hated him because he never went to class.
Right.
Reportedly. So yeah, I mean, just but he got by in his creativity, and in fact, it took him 10 years to develop. I mean, it's not really a new form of mathematics, but for him to develop the calculus necessary for general relativity, it took him a long time.
Right.
When another mathematician had been like, "Yeah, I did this like in 2 weeks or something," and he kind of felt like shit. But it's humbling.
He's not a mathematician, though.
He's not a mathematician, no.
That's the thing is, like, even Einstein, there are people smarter than Einstein. It's like, you're smart in your area, and that's the beauty of it, because, everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, even within a field. So, like, even if you're a physicist, there are physicists around you that are smarter in certain areas. Everybody has their lane. So it's like, there's room for everyone.
Right.
And the more diversity that you have, actually, the better off you are. You want people who have different ways of approaching problems and the ways of seeing things, because, they stumble upon things that you may not stumble upon.
Right.
But let's go on. So I guess back to the point of, getting to know people, talk to everybody. Talk to your professors. Your professors are cool people, and they like to talk to students. I mean, some of them. Maybe the others don't, but, you go to your approachable professors. They want to hear from you. And, they kind of, at least for me, I know probably with professors it feels the same way. Like I get energized when I talk to my undergraduate students. Like, they give me life. Like, after you feel all dead and beat down for physics, people who are all bright-eyed and love physics and everything, it gives you like an energy boost.
Oh, yeah, it definitely does.
So, talk to your professors. Like, they love it. They like to see the excitement of, what it's like to be learning these concepts for the first time and just getting your mind blown constantly.
Yeah, and even sharing, they'll appreciate that. And they'll see your enthusiasm for the subject, and they'll probably be like, "Well, this guy really likes physics," I think a lot of professors, I had this mindset a lot in my undergraduate. If I just didn't perform well on a homework or an exam, I didn't want my personality to be a factor in the grade. But I'm going to be honest with you. Your personality does, like, how your professor sees you affects your grade.
Do you think?
I totally think so.
And
I think
come?
What
though?
I mean by that is their perception of you. Like,
you mean at the end of the day?
Yeah.
100%.
Like
100%.
how much? Like, what's the difference between a C and a B?
Right.
For them, they'll just be like, he might have made a C, but He really tried. He came into my office and
100%, man.
He worked hard at it.
That is a great tip, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of people in college don't realize this is applying everywhere universally. I mean, when you're an undergraduate, you think that, oh, my grade is locked in. I fucking suck at physics. I can't ever get a passing grade on any of these exams or quizzes. Like, I'm fucked. Mm-hmm. Wrong. If you're trying your damnedest and you're literally putting every ounce of energy into passing and doing this work, your professors and your TAs are going to notice. Like, there's certain students in my class, like, I just see trying very hard. I see them all the time doing work. I see them, trying to do the homeworks, asking me a lot of questions. Like, I already have in my mind, like, if they ever ask me to raise their grade or something, or if they feel like they're not passing the lab class or something, like, I will 100% just change their grades. Maybe I shouldn't say that on the record, but
yeah, we'll beat that out.
Well, I guess I don't have to care anymore, but maybe it's just me talking.
Oh, I can't say anything
because I'm not in school anymore, so I don't have to.
But I will say that it almost. I'm saying professors do this. I'm not saying that necessarily we do this, but it is something that professors have this already written in a syllabus, and most syllabuses or syllabi already have this in their format. They say 10% participation. Well, participation. That 10% is a whole letter grade.
Right.
That's exactly what we mean by
But I mean, even
their
not
perception.
formalized though.
Sometimes
so, like,
it might, sometimes professors might not even have it in the syllabus. It'll just be, this student tried really hard, and then they might say something like, well, to be fair, here, I'll let you redo the homework or the test or whatever, or this homework, and then come back with corrections, and then I'll give you like half the points, and then that'll be, professors will find a way if they see that you're really trying to do well and learn.
Right.
So,
and just to clarify a little bit, Juan, because you said personality is a factor.
Yeah.
Let's be very clear that personality means like someone who's trying hard in class. Personality does not mean that you're like, hey, professor, what's up, buddy? And, give him a high five and shit.
That will work negatively.
That will hurt you. I promise you. A physicist, bane for physicists is like people who are trying to manipulate or something. And we all see through it. It's like any professor does. Yeah. If you're doing that, you're setting yourself up for a bad day. So that will not help you at all.
100%.
Yeah. Don't ever do that.
Don't do that.
Don't be a politician. Scientists hate politicians. Fact.
Yeah. Too logical for that.
Yeah. So
too much. What is that? Pathos? What is that? Ethos? What is it?
I don't know.
I don't remember either. Whatever. Some philosophical person will let me know.
All right, moving on. So,
yeah, you had on here, don't compare.
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
Don't compare. Stop comparing yourself to others. It's a waste of fucking time. I promise you, if you compare yourself to people and you do this, it's just going to make your life hell and worse. This is probably one of the biggest revelations I ever had in undergraduate. Don't compare yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody is you. You're always going to be inferior to someone at something.
Yeah.
Don't compare. Be the best version of you as possible. As cliche as that shit sounds, there's a reason why these adages get repeated all the time. It's because they have truth. Internalize it and try to really understand what that means.
Yes, there's a lot of wisdom in that, and do not 100%. Don't. You guys are coming in. You gals are coming in at different stages of your life. Like that guy, that 40-year-old, right?
Yeah.
He's coming in. He's probably like, man. And I've had this. I've talked to the guy that was in my program that said, "Oh, I'd love, dude. I want to do physics at the beach. I want to be a theoretical physicist." And I was kind of scoffing at it. I was already a junior by that time, and he was a freshman. I was like, "Oh, got a lot to learn, buddy." And but that's he, even though he had seniority in sort of age, I had seniority in like the physics knowledge, so I was a little bit like But he always compared himself to everybody, even though he was like he was much older and he was supposed to be wiser. He still said like, "Man, fuck, like you guys know way more than me. I feel like shit." But it's like, dude, we've been here. We've been learning, 4 or 5 more semesters of physics classes than you have. So it's not fair to compare yourself. And sure enough, it messed with his psychology so much that he was like, I'm actually going to switch majors to geology.
Oh man!
So he was just like, screw it, man. This is a young person's game. But it's because of that. I think he was comparing himself too much to physics students and other physics students, how well they were doing, instead of, like we were saying, working at the subject, even though it was difficult at times.
I think that's a great lesson because that just shows you, I mean, these kind of like philosophical understandings and things, there's no guaranteeing that you're ever going to get these things.
Yeah.
So you really need to, that actually brings up a great, another next point, Juan, is to, you got to have self-awareness.
Yeah.
If you actually take the time, put down the smartphone every once in a while, put down the fucking tablet, get away from your laptop, and just sit down with yourself and actually try to think about, where am I headed in life? What should I be changing about myself? Am I doing things right? Am I, doing all I can to achieve what I want to achieve? You just need to sit down with yourself. And one thing actually that Gary Vaynerchuk, this is a guy who I love. I watch his shit all the time because he hits so many nuggets of wisdom all the time. he says that you need to have self-awareness. One of the most important things I think that you need to have as a human, as a person, in anything is self-awareness. If you can harness the ability to not only not lie to yourself, don't embellish yourself either. Self-awareness is so critical because if you have an accurate perception of yourself, that can take you to such a far level because you're not overthinking, you're not underthinking, you're in that perfect sweet spot where, where you're not fooling yourself.
Yeah.
I think Feynman said, like, you're the easiest person to fool is yourself.
Yeah, 100%. You really are. Evaluating yourself honestly that'll take you really far because then you don't run into the issue of fooling yourself. You might think because you've, say for instance, you've done all the homework problems, say you're studying for a test and you're like, well, I did all the homeworks. And I've fallen into this pit before. I'm like, I think I did this a lot in my undergrad. I should be okay. But I didn't necessarily review or anything. I just kind of was like, screw it, I'm going to wing it. Mm-hmm. And I was kind of fooling myself because, well, truth be told, you kind of need to review things well if you want to like really, really, really do well at it. Now, that's not including time constraints. There were times where I just could not review. But in the times that, say, for instance, I did have like a good afternoon to review, I would just be like, screw it, man. I think I got it. But it was like I was fooling myself. You want to be sure you're evaluating yourself honestly. Or now I'm at a level where I have that self-awareness and say, yeah, I probably should review. I don't know this well enough, but I need to get better at time management or I just really need this afternoon like for myself.
Right.
Stuff like
and
that.
Taking a break or taking an afternoon is nothing wrong with that.
Sure. Yeah, 100%. As long as you're aware you're not like fooling yourself and putting yourself in a situation where you're like, dude, I don't know what's going on. I'm doing, like you're fooling yourself if you think like, dude, I'm doing everything right.
Right.
But it's like if you're aware,
if it's not working, you're not doing everything right.
Yeah. But as long as you're aware of the fact that you're what you're doing and why you're doing it, that's huge. Yeah.
Yep. Now, Juan, I just realized that we don't have a clock, so I don't know what our time is.
Yeah. We'll finish the list, bro.
But this is the thing. We might be already 30 minutes in, and I still have more in the undergraduate section.
Okay. Let me see.
I don't want our audience to be dying on a 3-hour podcast. We should set a timer or something next time.
Yeah, we should. This is the new. How do I say this? The analog setup. We're 47 minutes in.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So 45, roughly.
Okay, so maybe we'll speed along a little bit. So I think undergraduate's got a pretty good amount of tips there. I guess one of the ones I want to bring up, though, is a little secret that I figured out.
Oh, Terence is The Secret.
Yeah.
His own version.
So let me tell you this. I've debunked this. Coffee is not mandatory to success.
Very true.
So
Very true.
This is a thing that a lot of people think in physics. I know, especially physics, and especially in the sciences. A lot of people drink coffee, and they start drinking it in college. And I know why they do it, because I thought about it too.
Tastes great.
No.
It does.
It tastes great now, but that shit tastes horrendous in the beginning.
Nah, dude, it tastes
You immediately liked it?
I did.
You were raised on coffee,
I was raised
different.
on coffee, though. So, yeah. But he's totally right. If you can avoid it, please avoid any sort of dependence on coffee, because just get your sleep schedule right, get everything, like, if you can help it. You know what I'm saying?
So your boy knew it. See, I knew it. I was like, I probably debated with myself for weeks too. I said, fuck, I can't get this shit done. I need to get coffee in me.
Yeah.
Because you're working erratic hours, you're working
like
long
sleeping.
days, and you're like, I need to stay up and finish this shit.
Yeah.
No. It can be done, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, I have cracked the code. The trick to not using coffee or not needing coffee, it's gonna be an amazing trick.
No, it's
you
not.
ready for it?
It's going to be really easy.
Eat properly and get plenty of sleep.
Look at the internet's dad over here telling us not to do drugs. Come on, we're cooler than that, guys. Let's go smoke cigarettes.
Going back to Gary Vaynerchuk, it's one of these things that he always says, like, people always want this trick to like work or to getting in shape, right? They want these diets, the keto diet. That's the new thing. I want keto. You know,
quick results.
Yeah, we want this crazy new workout. You know, this CrossFit. You know, that's going to get me going. No, it's eat properly and work out every day. That's it.
Yeah, P90X.
You know,
No CrossFit.
Things are as simple as you think they are. It's just that doing them is the hard part.
Yeah.
So
being consistent, everything. Yeah, that's one thing that I wasn't raised on, consistency. No, because I'm going to be honest with you, my sleep schedule is terrible. Like, I will go to sleep at weird hours, and then coffee doesn't help, obviously, you know. But it's the sort of roller coaster of my life that kind of has that. But it's sort of, you have to discipline yourself enough to do it, and try to do this in your undergrad. Try to like nail that down so that you have good habits going into like graduate school.
Yeah, guys, the younger you are, the easier it's going to be.
More flexible, yeah.
When you get older and older, it gets a lot harder, doesn't it, Juan?
It really does. It really does. So I can make changes now, but they'll be incremental. And yeah, I mean, certain factors will probably not help. For instance, if you feel like you have a lot of work to do, like Terence is saying, you'll probably fall back on habits like that where you work longer days, so you need coffee, and then you go to sleep shitty hours, like you get 6 hours, maybe even less. And so you'll be like, oh, dude, I just need this cup, man. I just, you know. And that's fine. Like, you can do that too, but you'll run into health problems, believe me. As someone who's like done that, you're going to be paying for it one way or another. This is not it's not a free lunch.
No free lunch.
So perfect. Yeah, just do what you can in sort of making a healthy sort of routine and lifestyle for yourself, so that you don't fall into any of those things. Especially in American society, I feel like it's, and I say this as an American, but I think a lot of people fall into that sort of vicious cycle of productivity where you want to be really productive, so you help take something to, wow, I'm jumbling my words up. You take something to help you increase your productivity, and then at the end you realize you've been awake for 18 hours and you need to sleep, and then you sacrifice your sleep a little bit, and the cycle just repeats over and over and over. This happens a lot when you're deep in your work, so like I was saying, try not to instill that into a habit. Unfortunately for me, I started way too young, so it's kind of like I might have to, once I'm done with graduate school, I think I can like safely exit this cycle of need to be productive kind of thing. So, and
it's hard to make changes now when you're already stuck in it, because now it's a feedback loop where you need this to be able to 100%. Keep going in.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, the faster you can form good habits, the better off you're going to be. Of course, you know, if you're already locked in, then, you know, just keep going like Juan says, and then maybe when you have time and energy to improve later,
like
you
a
can
summer.
do that. Yeah.
Like take a summer and just, I did that for a while. I took a summer off and just was like, I'm going to work on my, like, myself, my schedule.
Yeah, bro, you were running 5Ks and shit, remember?
Dude, I was, man. I was doing good, man.
We're gonna have to do that again.
I was doing way, but I was like 5 years ago. Like,
oh, okay.
Like,
I thought you were talking about last summer.
Oh, yeah, that too. But I'm saying, like, in general, like I've taken summers like where I'm just like, I need to take care of myself. I need to stop getting into the cycle. But yeah, you can do that. It's I think your doctor would agree with that. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's move on to the graduates one, because we're already like, we gave undergraduates everything, it seems.
I know, we gave you a whole episode.
So you're welcome.
But some of this,
they need it more though.
They do need it more, I think, because a lot of it is experience. You'll pick up and learn things and adapt as you go. So
right. So yeah, let's move on to the graduates. So we can maybe shorten it a little bit. So I guess the first one I have here is trust your own judgment. So as a graduate student, you kind of know what the fuck is going on now, at least a little bit. One thing that I even knew in the beginning was you need to trust your own self with how you work and how you do things.
Yeah.
So I ran into an issue in the beginning, and then Juan also did. We were a little bit behind in our knowledge, because when we transferred to our different schools, they actually required different amount. They required 2 semesters of some subjects that we only took 1 semester of. So we had to brush up on knowledge.
Correct.
And it was a little bit annoying because we had to go back and take undergraduate courses. And from the beginning, I knew this was going to be an issue because we weren't able to work in study groups with graduate students who were on the same track as us.
Yeah.
And so we were disconnected, essentially. And we had to work within just me and Juan, without any other kind of talking amongst our peers. And I knew this was going to be an issue before I even signed up, but we kind of got forced into going down this route of taking undergraduate courses. So I knew right from the beginning that this was going to be a bad problem where I wanted to just take graduate courses from the beginning. Yeah. So I say, guys, as a graduate student, you know your habits and you know the way you work and things right now. So just trust your judgment. If you're in predicaments where people and advisors are trying to tell you to do something, unless it's like something you need to do for your PhD, trust yourself and just make your own decision about it. You don't always have to rely on the advisors because sometimes they think they might know things more than they do. Of course, they're wise and you want to listen to their decision making because they're smart guys and gals. But yourself too. If you've done the proper self-reflection and self-awareness, and you feel pretty confident on your path, do your path.
Yeah, typically their input is a suggestion. It's a big suggestion. It's a heavy weighted suggestion, but you shouldn't feel like it's the final word.
Yeah.
You should take that as make a cost benefit analysis, see where you're at in life. Because say you feel like you need to develop yourself more in this certain subject, and you're entering this field, and you're like, man, my undergraduate was, I got a really bad grade in this class. I feel like I should retake it. Bite the bullet. Just, especially if you feel, in some instances, like for me, my E&M I felt was very poor. So I had to retake it, or I felt like I had to retake it. But truth be told, I put in the same amount of work I would have in a graduate course. So do with that as you may, because sometimes the undergraduate course is not even worth your time. You might as well spend that time working at a graduate level course, because some schools, the graduate level courses, they might actually be not easier, but the workload might be more reasonable, because some undergraduates, like, they just pummel you with problems, and yeah, that's fine, but you'll move on from chapter to chapter doing a set of problems that you can probably go back and just relearn anyway.
And that's not necessarily easier sometimes. The thing I've noticed with undergraduates is like sometimes they shotgun you with problems.
Yeah,
so you have so many different kind of problems, though, that there's no connection. And in graduate school, it's a little bit easier in the sense that you have depth of a problem.
Yes.
You can go deep into a few problems and you actually understand it.
Yes.
That shotgun blast with the undergraduate is just trying to get you to familiar with a bunch of stuff.
Right.
So it can be annoying. If you're a person who likes to think of one thing at a time and you're not really a multitasker, like, go the graduate route. Usually it's going to be better. You're not trying to get all this information at a surface level. You're trying to get depth now.
Yeah, and if you feel like it's too demanding, like a graduate course is intimidating, taking a full semester, 3 graduate courses, then pull back. Just say, okay, then I'll take 2.
100%.
And then do whatever, find something else to fill in your time.
Yeah.
Do research. Start research early. I don't know. Just trust yourself in that way. Make an outline for yourself. Say, at year 3, I want to be doing this. Because advisors, truth be told, yeah, they have a say, but it's not their journey, it's yours. So
yeah, they're a guide for you.
Yes. So and I've had situations where I'm actually thinking about changing. Not research advisors, like the sort of, because in some institutions you'll have research advisors and academic advisors. certain advisors, like the academic advisor, might not necessarily be on the same page as you.
Right.
So, like for me, I'm just like, I think I should probably
This is
change.
in your committee, you're saying.
Yeah. I'm like, I should probably change academic advisors because, their advice wasn't that great.
Right.
So you could do that too if you feel like.
So for the undergraduates and people who are not familiar, the committee is something you need for a PhD in order to pass. They're kind of like your panel of guys and people who are going to ask you questions in the end, to make sure that you're actually fit for earning a PhD.
Yes. And so, you can adjust with that as time goes on. They're like I said, their word isn't final. You can swap advisors. I've had students come and tell me, I don't really like my advisor. Not research. I mean, your research advisor is probably more important, but I'm saying like the sort of academic advisor, if there is one in your committee. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't really get along with them, then just swap them out. A lot of people, I think, feel like they're trapped once they make a decision.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
Do that if you're a graduate student. Feel free to change it and whatever. And people in the department will talk. I feel like all departments have some sort of politics. There are factions in them and stuff. So at the end of the day, just kind of, they'll have opinions about you sometimes, but just kind of, do you.
Do you.
Do you.
That's a good sound off there.
You do you.
So I guess the next point here, Juan and audience, is I say to network once again. So graduate students, you guys are guilty of this too. You didn't learn in undergrad. They don't learn, Juan. Oh, shit. Don't let Juan get after you.
That's a trick. I'm always angry. Shit. No,
Juan
that's a trick. I'm always caffeinated.
I'm always caffeinated. That's the trick, Mr. Stark. I'm always caffeinated.
Yeah. But Network, God damn it, guys. Damn it.
Stop trying to be Einstein, for Christ's sake. You need to just, I guess even Einstein networked, so you're still not being Einstein.
Yeah, the Solvay conference. Come on. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
You know what physicist isn't remembered? The guy who didn't go to the Solvay conference.
Ooh. I don't know what that is, but sounds.
That's the famous image of maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. The famous image of like Marie Curie and Einstein
like
and
all the big hitters.
Schrodinger, yeah.
Damn, if you guys don't know that picture, look that up.
Amazing.
Because it's like got literally like every like major scientist in that one photo.
Was it technically the 20th century, right? 20th century scientist?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Because 1900s, yeah, that's 20th century. But yeah, guys, you got to network. Go to conferences, talk to people. If you don't, I just challenge you to talk to one person at a conference. Just talk to one person. You guys all think, especially physicists are guilty of this, and STEM people in general. You can have massive, massive skills. You can be the goddamn best, diagonalizer of matrices ever, But guys, you gotta know people.
Yes.
The key to getting jobs, the key to, getting opportunities is to network and know people.
Yes.
It's about who you know. There's politics and bureaucracy at every level of every industry there is.
Yeah. So I'll show a little bit. Yeah, it is a Solvay conference, but look, you see this collection of guys? Maybe this will focus or not.
I'll put it on the YouTube.
I'll put it up where my focus level is.
Yeah.
I'll just Marie Curie,
a big thing on your face.
I can already see Einstein. Look, Dirac was there, Schrodinger. I think Bohr was there. Yep. Fermi. I mean, I'm seeing all these dudes.
It's all of them.
Bohr. These people were networking. So
they were.
So
they weren't all sitting in a lair by themselves.
Yes.
So
and they're famous. All those people on there, they're all famous.
Maybe Dirac was. Is he on there?
Yeah, he's on there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Einstein probably pulled him out. He's like, Dirac, come on, bro.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah, there's so many. Yeah, just do it. Go to conferences. Like we were saying.
Yeah, conferences are fun.
They are. Even if you're not presenting, sometimes. I mean, these guys certainly. I mean, they were just talking. They were all there, chatting about cutting edge physics, and that was it. Yeah.
And I guess one other part to that was I said to maybe help you to network some more is so with us in my school, there was a girl who actually started a running group. So we would all go run every Friday.
Yeah.
And we even had a professor that would join us. So like we'd have, it'd be a random collection. We actually we called our group the Heisenberg group, running group, because, we didn't know who was going to actually be there. So we had an uncertainty of who's going to be there.
Right.
But we would have anywhere from 5 to 15 people there every Friday. So, it's a great way to keep in touch with your fellow graduate students as well as even professors sometimes. Mm-hmm. So you guys, and the triple part is that you also can stay physically healthy. So you guys need to make sure you can stay physically active. In graduate school, it's very, very easy to just be sitting all day. You got to get yourself physically active.
Yeah, man. I put on, freshman 15. Put on the graduate.
That's way past freshman, bro.
I put on the Giga Graduate 20 or something.
The Giga Freshman 15.
Giga Graduate Freshman 15. I don't know. I literally had, I put on a lot of weight, but just because I was sitting down all day for 3 months.
And then eating them pizzas at Colloquium. And
eating pizzas at Colloquiums, eating chips and whatnot, drinking sugary drinks,
Monsters,
all that stuff. You got to go 0 calorie if you do. It's no, but get
a zoom in on that one. Show them that white
sponsor.
Monster.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, they don't pay us.
Sponsor of every physics department in the U.S. No, do exercise. This almost has some reach back to what we were saying. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So.
Got to, guys. Got to.
But like Terence is saying, use some of those. Networking doesn't necessarily have to be all in the suit. That's kind of what he's saying. You don't have to go dressed up in whatever. You can just be like, hey, let's all meet to go out.
Yeah.
To bars, even.
Sure.
Let's hang out.
Yeah.
Let's go have a social thing.
Yeah. That's
perfectly fine. Yeah, you can do that. So y'all can talk, chit chat, because at the end of the day, say Steven goes and gets a job at I don't know, some company, and you run into him and be like, I don't know, you run into him at a conference and it's like, dude, I'm looking for a job. Oh, we have a position available.
Yep.
And you guys were good friends.
And Steve will put a bunch of word in for you. And usually, when someone who is already internal in the job and they hire one of their friends, you get expedited through interviews way easier.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you have somebody who's on your level that can vouch for you, that goes a long way. It goes a very long way. So that's what we're saying. Network, with your fellow peers and make an impression, a positive impression. We don't just mean go there and just kind of sulk and sit in the corner.
Well, even if you do, do it.
Be funny.
Just still do it. You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to do it, but just do it. Even if you're dying and you don't want to be there, just fucking do it. Because micro steps. That's actually raises a good point, Juan.
Okay.
I give myself micro goals a lot of times. I fucking hate working out. If you can believe that, I really hate working out. I don't like working out. If I could just take a pill and never have to touch a weight ever again in my life, I would probably do that.
Nice.
I may look athletic. I'm probably one of the worst athletes you ever meet in your life. I'm just to give you an example. Every time we would have pickup games like basketball or football or anything in my neighborhood, I would always be the guy who would get picked either first or second. But then when we played another game, I was always picked last.
Don't pick that guy.
Yeah. So I'm an athlete by no means, but I work out every weekday pretty much
for health reasons.
That's because I was able to get myself there through micro goals. So for me with fitness, I was able to get myself there by just saying, all right, Terence, just wake up. If I just can wake up, you say, okay, that's my first goal. Eventually, you might just wake up one day and you'll just be like, I don't want to go to the gym. But at least you tried to wake up. At least you woke up.
Yeah.
So now you're already getting there. So I work out in the morning. So once you wake up, yeah,
wakes up with the sun.
Really? Yeah. So once you
before the sun.
Yeah. So once you wake
Hello,
up, though,
sun. Hello, trees. Hello,
hey, it's great once you get in the pattern. Is that the flute song?
The morning dews, whatever the fuck the song's called.
That's my morning now. I love it.
Anyway, yeah.
But yeah, it took a while to get there. But once you do that, then you say, okay, I'm just going to put on my shoes.
Yeah.
You put your shoes on. And actually, you put your shoes on. And then if you don't want to do that, it's hard to just go back to bed after you got your shoes on. So you say, all right, I'll get in the car. Mm-hmm. So if you at least then get in the car, then you say, okay, I'll just drive to the gym. Mm-hmm. I don't have to work out. I'm just going to drive there and I'm just going to sit. So then you're sitting in the gym and you're just like, well, I'm fucking here. I just might as well work out.
Yeah.
This is what micro goals are. If you just give yourself micro goals, it does not matter how long it takes you. So if you can just, the biggest part, I guess, the hardest part about that is the judgment. So if you have people who are judging you about working out and whatnot, if you can somehow tune that voice out, this is another thing that Gary Vaynerchuk always talks about, which I think is great advice. If you can somehow tune out all the judgment, then you're already way ahead of the game. Then the micro goals become easier. Just show up to the gym. Work out with one weight. Do this for a week. Eventually work out with two weights. You know, as long as you're making any progress, that's good progress. Even with this podcast, if you guys look back at our older videos, they're complete shit. I mean, they're shit now, probably still.
Yeah. Different
but they're
degrees.
Better shit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's shit with a diamond encrusted
let's slow down.
It's fake, but, you know.
Fake diamond.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is the thing. You know, you guys just continually progress and progress. Everything that is good took time to make. Mm-hmm. So, micro goals, guys, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, like he was saying, you can apply this to that whole social networking thing because a lot of us in physics are introverts.
Yeah,
we don't really want to hang out with people. We just want to focus on our work.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, but you know, at the end of the day, a lot of that is just discipline, putting yourself in uncomfortable scenarios. You know, that discomfort is growth, as hard as it may seem.
Right. Actually, I wrote that on here. I said, if it's uncomfortable, do it.
Yeah, it's growth. Yeah. I don't know. Somebody said that. I read that somewhere a long time ago. Probably somebody probably coined that term, but it's true. If you feel uncomfortable, then you're growing in some way. So just do that. The
amount of satisfaction you feel from actually going through the discomfort at the end of the day is so much better than anything you could ever feel.
Yeah. So apply that level of discipline that you do for studying and stuff to other aspects.
Exactly.
Like social networking and taking care of yourself and do that. Even though it's exhausting. And I know there's studies, right? Willpower is there's a limited amount of willpower. But slowly but surely if you use less willpower, You will be using less and less willpower as long as you keep doing it more and more.
It has like a return on investment.
Yeah.
So you might need a shit ton of willpower in the beginning. So you might only be able to concentrate on a couple things. But then over time, it's like you need less and less and less and less willpower until it's like you have so much room to distribute that willpower to many things.
It's just a background thing now. You're just like, I got to do this. Yeah, nope, it's easy. So
cool, man. So I guess the next one we kind of touched. I just said, be mindful of burnout. I actually wrote, for the love of God, stop trying to be Einstein. Stop trying to be Einstein. Einstein was stupid for a long time. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but at Einstein school, when he was a professor, nobody gave a shit about Einstein in the beginning. It was all about von Neumann. Von Neumann was the guy. He was the fucking badass that everybody cared about. Einstein was just some shit tier professor that nobody really cared about until one day he wrote the fucking triple threat. You know, what was it? The photoelectric effect.
Yeah.
Relativity.
Special. He did photoelectric effect, and then he did special relativity.
Then general relativity. I mean, that's a fucking. I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
So once he got those, bang, bang, bang. Even with photoelectric effect, that put him on the map massively.
Yeah, on quantum. And he didn't even like quantum mechanics.
Right. So, I mean...
he just did something that he was like, fuck it, man.
Yeah. So just be mindful of burnout, guys. Remember that burnout is a real thing. If you're going full speed and you're doing huge things, you know, you're going to... and you're using a lot of energy initially, you are going to burn out faster. So it's much smarter to distribute that energy over a long period of time.
It's a marathon.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Not a sprint. So take your time There's this like pervasive thought. Well, I think there was a study somewhere that got really famous. I don't know who did this, but essentially what the study said was most important research is done in the beginning of like in your first 10 years or something of research. And I don't think that's necessarily true.
What do you think? It's a reflection of people just working?
I think it's a reflection of, I think it's a reflection of that burnout thing. I think a lot of us feel like we need to do that and then,
and then just die at the end.
Well, one professor put it more succinctly to me. He said, well, you have to think about it. After your 10 years, you already have your PhD, right? Because some of these things were, a lot of the physics breakthroughs happen in PhD theses, right? So a lot like the Pauli exclusion principle, that was his thesis. A lot of these groundbreaking things usually happen in somebody's like thesis or something. And now there are exceptions to this, like superconductivity. I think was 3 guys that were doctorates.
But it was still no, it wasn't 3 doctorates. It was 1 guy who was an advisor. 1 guy was a graduate student.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe 2 guys were graduate students.
I think you're right. Yeah, it was a I'm mixing shit up. Yeah.
Because Schrieffer is one of the guys who was undergraduate.
Right. You're totally right. Yeah, I mean, there you go.
I mean, not undergraduate, graduate. So.
Yeah. And yeah, there are these, like, really, he was saying, yeah, like, you do a lot of important work in the beginning, but what ends up happening is after you finish your PhD, you get into a position, and then once you start making actual money, you want to start a family, you want to do all this, and that just takes up your time, and then you have to teach and blah, blah, blah. So his argument was, well, I think the statistics are kind of skewed because, well, the structure of academia has it to where once you obtain your PhD, you do all this other bureaucratic stuff, so your research kind of falls to the side. So that's kind of where that statistic comes from. His interpretation of it is that, your a lot of your free thinking, your free time thinking is front loaded. Makes sense. So, but you don't really want to burn out, right? You don't want to just like crank all your creative thinking in the first 10 years in physics. I think mathematicians have a little bit more leeway because a lot of those guys are in there, like they're still doing prolific things at like 40 or 50. So, yeah, don't really buy into the hype. Is what I'm trying to say. It's a marathon. Go at your own pace. If you can sustain those levels of productivity at all times, then by all means.
It's not going to happen.
Right. No, I agree. But yeah, be aware. Be aware that burnout is real. I had one guy. I had a friend of mine. He just like, burnout's for the birds, man. It's not real.
Yep, and you're like, he's gonna burn out in 5, 3, 2.
He pretty much. I talked to him like 2 years later, and he was like, yeah, it's real.
Yep,
like
I've known people who've burned out. And they've fell out of school.
Yeah, man. I mean, this guy didn't, but he was like, dude, I didn't believe it. I didn't think I could reach the human limit for productivity. But I was like, I mean, dude, it's your mind is an organ.
Yep.
It's not a fucking
magical thing. Yeah.
Magical machine.
Magical perpetual motion machine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if you understand physics, of all people, you should understand that perpetual motion machines don't exist. You're not going to get energy from nothing.
Yeah. So,
all right. So, continuing on, guys. I hope it's not too long.
Yeah, let me check.
Yeah, so I have here, simplify your understanding. So this is something that I wanted to include because, professors, they get to a certain level where they're just so out of touch sometimes that you're just like, damn, they really just don't remember what it's like to be dumb and a graduate student.
Yes.
Or lower. So
yes,
this is why I put it on here. So guys, don't become the professors that are out of touch. Please just don't. You gotta have some kind of empathy and humility. And I say simplify your understanding because that's a way to do this. So I say use teaching as a way to help solidify your knowledge. So when you're a TA or something, a lot of times when I TA, just a tip from me is what I do is I will try to answer questions many different ways to try to match the student's understanding of the problem. So like some students really understand the math. So I'll go at it from a hard math perspective. Mm-hmm. Some students really want more of a conceptual understanding. So I'll go at it from a conceptual understanding. If you can hit all these different bases depending on the person, then you have a much better understanding of the problem yourself. So I say simplify your understandings. I mean, like Einstein says, another one of his famous quotes is if you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it. So challenge yourself. I look at it as a challenge, try to get someone who's completely frustrated with it, doesn't understand it, to understand it in the most simplest framework as possible.
Yeah, I had somebody. I've had students that we take for granted, for instance, and we fall into this thing too, that our professors sort of assume that we already know the vernacular, we already know everything that about the subject beforehand, which is sort of absurd. But we also fall into that when we're teaching, and I notice it because I use the word intercept in one of my classes, and the students didn't really understand what I was saying. So we were looking for, let's say, for instance, we're looking at where a line intersects the other, like a vertical line, like the y-axis or something intersects with just some line. And I said, the intercept is this. And some of the students seemed a little perplexed by my thing. And I said, think about it this way, where it's crossing. Well, at first I said perpendicular. And that was another word that was a little bit too jargony. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, I looked at their eyes, they were glossing over. so I was like,
you
wow.
really got to take yourself back.
You really do, yeah. Because then I was like, okay, I'm actually, I realized that they're not picking up on it. Crossing. This is when they're crossing. And they're like, oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, what professors, see how easy it is for us to fall into that. Right. Professors definitely, they're in that.
Professors are on the fucking Himalayas, trying to shout down to someone on the ground. So it's like you got to remember, you got to take yourself back way far. It's a little bit easier for graduate students because we're a little bit more closer to the students' level. Right. Yeah. So that's probably why it's easier for us to do that. But try to maintain that. You got to try to maintain that communication pathway. Mm-hmm. If you're on the Himalayas, you better, make a phone line to the ground so you can still talk to someone.
Yes.
100%. I don't think it's an excuse to be so far in advance that you can't even speak to anyone. You can't speak to anyone in simple language anymore. Yeah. Totally so you gotta maintain your ability to communicate with the general public and to anyone really.
And this will help you a lot when you go to conferences and stuff, where there will be people that are not in your discipline coming up to see your poster, or like if you're giving an oral presentation, they'll definitely see, they'll definitely be asking questions and are curious about what your project is, and you'll have to level with them either at the lowest level or, somewhere in between the highest level. So you'll have to know how to go in between sort of effortlessly. So it's a muscle. You have to work at it.
Right. And Juan, by the way, what time were we at when you looked?
1:18.
Okay. Let's start wrapping it up here with the last stuffs. So I kind of want to just say final thoughts here. So one, I got a inquiry from someone on YouTube at one point, leaving a comment can certain types be physicists? So I kind of went through my mind and thought about all the different people who were different personality types that were physicists. And I just wanted to list the types. So if you guys have noticed that we do MBTI videos sometimes, because that's one of my side hobbies is MBTI. That's Myers-Briggs type indicator.
That's his astrology.
The man's horoscope, as Jesse Ricky said.
Yeah.
So, So if you don't understand it, you can always type it in Google, MBTI. But these are the personality types that I've come across in physics. So I've come across ESTP, ENTPs, ESFJ, ENFJ, INFJs, ESTJ, ISTJ, ESFP, INFP, ENFP, ISFJ, ISTP, INTJ, INTP, ISFP, and ENTJs. So in case you haven't noticed, I just literally listed every single MBTI type.
Yeah.
So there is no set physicist type. You don't have to be an INTP, an INTJ, or ENTP to be a physicist. Literally any one of those personalities can be a physicist. So the personality type is not the important thing. It's all about how hard you can work and how passionate you are.
I think there are certain types that are more prominent, but that has nothing to do whether you're able to do it. I mean, we can talk about this extensively.
Some of the smartest types I've ever met are feelers, you know.
Yeah.
You just have no there is nothing that is set in stone for what you can do in life.
Yeah. So I mean just I mean we can sort of quickly try to see, because there's a Big Bang Theory kind of gives us perception of what physicists are, right? And we I certainly have run into this whenever I'm TAing, and some people might have misconceptions about what a physicist is. And at the end of the day, we're just scientists, right? We're just scientists that know how to use, or we're trained to use math and make math models, right, as accurate as possible. And that's really all we are. And so you can look like whoever and whatever, but I will admit the media does have a perception of what physicists are. It's like a white nerdy guy with glasses, right? It's kind of been the caricature of a physicist for the longest time. So when I run into students and I tell them, they often ask me, "Oh, so what do you? So you have to like TA this class for whatever? Like, what's your major?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm a physicist." And they're like, "Oh, cool. Yeah, why?" You know, and it's just like, I mean, I don't take it personally because I totally understand where it comes from. The perception in the media is a certain way, and Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, and and then you get a question like that. Oh, at certain personality types, you have to be a Sheldon type or something. Yeah, and you don't.
Right. I get students all the time who it's usually only the first couple classes.
It is.
They're like, "So you like physics?" I'm like, "I better," because I'm this far into it. But then they realize how much I actually do like physics, and then they're like, "Oh shit, he really is." He really is a crazy physicist.
Yeah. So it's I think certain types lend themselves to that, to going into physics because, it's you can work in isolation. You don't have to work with people. You can survive off of very little interaction, and you can do things in isolation a lot. And
certainly it lends itself to that for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
and I think that's why you see certain people more of a certain type go into that. But that doesn't mean you're not allowed. Doesn't mean you won't survive being another MBTI type or whatever.
Exactly. And I mean, that's, diversity helps any system. So you want that in your systems. I mean, and you can already see me and Juan definitely break the racial stereotypes for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, like anybody can do it as long as you have the passion and the work ethic. That's what you need. That's the most important parts. So, and then I just wanted to do a final thing here. I wanted to make a problem-solving guide for people who are just starting physics.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So I kind of just made a few steps. I mean, we can. It's kind of lame, but it's just something.
No, go for it.
So I found that this is a nice little formula if you're struggling with physics problems. So I say, number one, you should draw a picture. So this is for people also who, may not be physicists, but if you want to just start practicing doing physics. So what you can do is just go to Google and type in introductory physics problems and solutions or something. And just Google it and find some physics problems to do. And anybody can start doing this. If you know basic algebra, you can probably even start it. So I say draw a picture of the problem. Then what you want to do is you want to write down the known variables. And then I say you think about the problem. That's kind of an intermediate step. And then you write down the relevant equations, think about how to solve the problem, and then solve the problem. If you just do those basic steps, that is basically the formula to always doing physics problems from intro physics class to the end of time.
Can I add one more?
Yes. Yeah.
This is so critical. Even for me, I do all that, and you know what I run into the most?
What?
The most? Understanding what the question asks.
Oh, very true, huh?
Very, very. I run into this problem a lot.
That's the first part before any of all this. That's like
It
the
really
0th
is.
step.
It really is
Yeah.
the 0th step
Okay.
because I've run into problems where I'm like, oh, I think I solve it, and I think I solve it, and then I go into like compare my solution to the official solution or the professor's solution, and I'm like, wait, what the hell? What happened? And then I just realized, oh, they were asking this. And I, in my mind, had conjured up something already of what I thought they were asking. Now, sometimes you may run into the problem of the professor's asking the question badly. That can certainly
Which happens, definitely, for
which
sure.
happens. But if they're standardized problems, you kind of, you kind of have to, if they're standardized problems, then you have to recognize the vernacular or the sort of the key words are for you to like bust out certain techniques. So be aware of that. At the graduate level, you'll probably run into less standardized problems, which means that you then have to really understand what the problem is asking.
Yeah, that's a very critical one, actually. That's the 0th step. I like
really
that
is.
one. You got to, and the thing is, in the beginning, you'll be so probably side slammed, especially if you haven't done anything like this. Like, the only way to be able to be good in physics is to do the problems.
Yeah.
Like, you got to just keep doing more and more problems.
And that, but
It's the
like I
only way.
said, that comes from familiarity with what the question is asking and what different ways you can ask to solve a certain problem.
Exactly.
So, yeah, 0th step right there.
100%. All right, and I guess the final thing here is I wanted to do for self-learners again was, if you're someone who just wants to teach yourself physics just for fun, or you might be interested, or if you want to get ahead in college, before you even get to there, if you're a senior in high school or something, the key to learning any physics is first you should start with calculus, I'd say. So if you just start learning calculus, you're going to be such ahead of the game. You'll be way ahead of the game if you can learn calculus.
I'm going to be honest with you. Most of physics is calculus.
Yeah, pretty
you'll,
much.
If you learn up to Cal 3 really well.
Well, let's slow it down, though.
What?
Let's do Calc 1.
Okay. No, I'm saying if you decided to read a whole calculus book.
Yeah.
And you set that up as an assignment for yourself. Say you're a high schooler watching this. You're like, dude, I want to be a physicist. It'd be so cool. Well, and you said, I'm going to give myself calculus as a summer assignment or something. I'm saying, and what Terence is saying here is that knowing calculus is almost enough to solve like everything, almost 90% of physics problems.
It's applying that 80-20 principle. You've heard of that one?
Yeah.
So it's 80% of the return for 20% of the effort.
Oh, wait. I thought this was about milk. Like
what?
Oh wait, no, that's skim milk.
I don't know if you're trolling now. Okay.
2% skim milk or something. I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway.
But 80-20 principle. 80-20 principle. You want to get 20% of the reward or 80% of the reward for 20% of the effort. So if you guys learn Calculus 1, and if you learn it really well, if you have time to just go hard into it, you're going to be so set to go. So I said, if you're just starting out, though, if you want to learn what calculus is to even shorten it even more, just learn what a limit is, learn what a derivative is, and learn what an integral is. If you know those three things, you know calculus. Limits, derivatives, integrals. That's it.
And the techniques.
But
there
just
are techniques,
research those three things and know what they are and know how to use them in math. Yeah. You are boom, you're good to go.
And a lot of that's just
for a long
volume.
Way.
You can always give yourself problems, or even books have no limit of problems. Yeah. So do them in your free time.
And you can learn this all in a month or less, depending on how much time you put into it.
Well, when I was starting college, there were a lot less resources. Yeah. Now there are way more.
Yeah, you can go to Khan Academy. You can go to
Khan.
3 blue,
God
1 brown.
Bless that man.
I know, man. He saved our lives.
Yeah, I was starting out college and I'm like, dude, what the hell? what are boundary conditions, man? I don't know. And, you know, you just kind of, luckily he was graced upon this earth.
Oh, yeah.
And he really helps a lot.
Khan Academy lasted my whole undergraduate career.
Wow.
Did it last for you?
No.
Okay.
I didn't really.
When did it cut off?
I mean, once I got a good grip of what I was doing, I think I was like, oh, okay. But it did help a lot in the beginning to lay the groundwork.
Okay.
But I used other channels as resources sometimes. Like, there's a couple guys out there that do a lot of good work.
But I was able to survive with Khan for a long time. Like,
oh, yeah.
Any kind of conceptual understanding or cleaning up knowledge. I mean, I had Khan until PDEs even.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
that's partial differential equations, by the way.
Calculus.
Yeah. So calculus. It's advanced, but
nah, it's not really advanced.
Well, it would be on the advanced track.
Oh yeah.
Like you won't see that for a long time.
Nah.
But yeah, Khan.
But believe me, calculus isn't as intimidating as it looks.
No, it's not.
It's really not.
It's not.
Like I'm pretty sure you could teach I think I taught my nephew calculus.
How old is he?
He was 7.
I can see that.
But it was. And, you know, he's a regular kid. So it's like, you know, it's just about how you explain it and how you teach it and obviously practicing, you know. It's like algebra. I mean, you know when
it's actually probably easier than algebra.
I think it's more
Once
intuitive.
you know how to do it, it's easier than algebra.
It really is. Because there are a certain set of logistical rules that you can do. And
you notice this even when you're in class, like when I'm TAing classes, the kids all like to do the calculus. But then they fuck everything up when they're doing algebra.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about algebra, man. I can't tell you, but it is trickier for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, even for me, sometimes like, I have to do some deep algebra.
Yeah, we won't go into that.
I've been caught into, you know, when I'm sleep deprivated and I'm just like, dude, how do you take this out of the root? I don't even know.
Juan was doing some blunders,
some real magic math.
Yeah.
Woo, won't even talk about that. But, embarrassed.
But anyway, let's cut this off now, Juan. I think we've been talking too long.
Yeah. This was fun. You know,
we should leave the audience a question though. What do you think we should ask them?
Yeah, let's leave. You know,
I'll leave it up to you, Juan. What do you think?
What advice did you find more? I guess. What advice did you appreciate? I don't know if you have heard any of this. If you have, you know, what's a better question? If you actually stumbled upon our video and you're actually thinking about getting into physics, if this made you feel any better about it, I actually want to know because that'd be really cool to see.
Yeah. So leave it in the comment, guys. We'll read it for sure. We'll reply to you too.
Or if you have a question, just shoot it our way. You know, we'll read it.
But they could do that some other. You know, let's just leave them a question for the comments.
Oh yeah. Oh shoot, man, my levels are. I'm going off.
Yeah, don't kill the audience with headphone users.
I'm sorry. Rest in
Rip.
peace. Yeah. So anyway, that's it.
That's it.
Thanks for listening.
See you later, guys.
See you. Hey, thank you for staying this long.
You made it.
You made it. Congrats. You know,
You're the best.
You just solved this 3-star problem in Griffith. This is what it is. It takes about an hour and a half.
Exactly.
If you're really good to solve one of those problems. So, yes, thank you for making it this far.
Yeah, you guys are the best once again. So I guess we'll just say, you know, guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and make sure you subscribe. Leave us a comment. You know, leave us a like. Yeah.
Check out all our social links.
Indeed. You can follow us on Twitter at Eigenbros. And yeah, guys, we'll see you next video.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't know what that means, to play us out. What does that mean? To end the show? To end the show? To end the show? To end the show?